Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Bronx Tales with your host, Bronxy B, and me. I'm Logan. Thank you for being here. Listen, Bronx goes to the dog park every single day after work, and just because there's breaking news doesn't mean that duty stops over here. So we are still at the dog park today. But I did want to elaborate a little bit more on this breaking news of the prosecution offering Bryan Kohberger a plea deal. I don't waver from the things that I have stated before, and I'm still going against the grain. I just wanted to touch on a few things regarding this because my wheels have absolutely been turning. The first thing I want to say is taxpayers in Idaho should be livid. They have spent so much money getting this trial together and all these hearings and everything for this case. If the prosecution was going to turn around and give a plea deal, why would they have taxpayers spend all of this money? Unbelievable. This also doesn't bring justice to the families, really. I'm sure the families wanted to hear all of the evidence and convict this person and get actual justice and be able to state victim impact statements and, the whole shebang. They don't really get the justice that they were looking for. So, with that being said, what motive did the prosecution have to offer a plea deal? It came in last minute. Makes me think that the prosecution's case wasn't really as strong as they thought that it was. To most people, this screams Bryan Kohberger's guilty. To me, it screams the prosecution was scared. I think that the state was worried maybe about the strength of their case. They wanted a win, and this way they get their win without going to trial and maybe getting an L. I also wonder, were people that were researching this case and, including YouTubers, were they getting close to something? Is the prosecution giving a plea deal so a lot of stuff in Idaho won't be exposed, such as things with the police force or even the university? Is the prosecution scared that some of that stuff was going to be exposed during the trial? This also means that we will never have all of our questions answered or any of our questions answered. We'll never hear from the roommates. We'll never know why there was a cleanup. We'll never know why there was 8 hours in between making a 911 call. We'll never know why Dylan was joking on the phone when she called her friend Emily over. Still interested in this Prime Video and definitely going to report on that. But we will never have the answers to the questions that we had. I think the state was in fear of having some things exposed they didn't want exposed, and they would rather have a plea deal and a win than have all of these things with the police exposed and the university exposed. This plea deal tells me that they were in fear of something, whether it was losing or exposure. They were in fear of something. I also think that everybody thought the leaks were from law enforcement or the prosecution. And I think this proves that our theory of them trying to pull a reverse psychology trick, leaking the information from the prosecution side, making everybody think that it came from the defense to use as a tactic for a continuation. I think the prosecution did the leaks on purpose, knowing the defense would file a continuance because the prosecution needed more time. I don't think their case was as strong as everybody thinks it was. And they pulled a reverse psychology thinking the defense would file a continuation and it would be granted. Little did they know that it wasn't granted. They don't have a strong case. They weren't ready. They were pretty much begging for the defense to give them all the information they had that they were filing ex parte. They didn't get it, and now here we are with a plea deal being offered. Bryan Kohberger still has to accept this plea deal on Wednesday. I question, is Bryan Kohberger accepting a plea deal simply because he's terrified of the death penalty? Because morally, that's still not a win for the prosecution, although prosecution doesn't care about morals. Do you guys think now or in the future Bryan Kohberger will ever do any interviews? Do you think he will confess to anything, tell his side? Do you think any more information will come out from the defense? Do you think we will get any information at all as far as the information in the case that's been sealed? Do you think that we will now get this information? And will it be made available to the public? I still now and forever will always be for the human right of each citizen, innocent until proven guilty. This does not change anything. If you want to say that we were wrong, then we were wrong. I still don't think we were wrong. I think the prosecution is doing this because they were going to be grasping at straws. Their case wasn't strong enough, and they went out on a limb and thought, let's see if we can get a plea deal to him, see if he'll accept it. We still get a win, and now we don't have to look like morons in front of the whole world with a very weak case. I think Bryan Kohberger also knew at this point he wasn't going to get a fair trial. I'm so interested to see what information comes out on this case now that a plea deal has been reached. And also that means that no appeals can be filed. That usually does come with a plea agreement, but no appeals can be filed. And I think that that was the prosecution and the court's biggest fear, on top of not having a strong enough case. I hear left and right from guilters that, oh, they had the strongest case, they had compelling evidence. I don't think they do. I don't think their case was as strong as everybody thought it was, and I think this shows the strength wasn't on the prosecution side, and they were getting worried. This comes a month before trial was supposed to start. They wasted so much time of everybody's, and they wasted so much money in taxpayers' dollars. Idaho should be pissed at the prosecution. I think this makes the prosecution look terrible. But they don't care. They just want that win, right? I'm so curious on your guys' thoughts. Do you guys have any thoughts as far as why Bryan Kohberger would have taken a plea deal? Was he afraid of the death penalty and maybe really that's it? And do you guys have any thoughts on why a plea deal was suddenly offered just before the trial was supposed to be taking place? I guess their leak didn't really work after all. They didn't get the continuance they were looking for, and by they, I mean the prosecution. Again, to many people, this screams guilty. To me, this screams something much larger. And the prosecution did not want the public to find out about all the things that were going to be exposed in this case. That's what we have for you today. We will be back tomorrow with more thoughts and also covering the hearing if it's available. Bronx says hello to everybody. Bronxy! Hi, baby. Say hi. Do something nice for yourself today. Be kind, but more importantly, be kind to your dog. Bye, guys.